Hey everyone, welcome to the Miser's Guide to Evony. In this video, I am going to cover a couple questions that I get fairly frequently. That's why it's in the frequently asked questions video section, playlist thingy, whatever you call it. This is video number 4. The 3 questions or the 3 topics I'm going to be addressing are general power. I get this question a lot. How can I increase my general power? What are lucky stones and what are runestones? What is a specialty? What is it used for? That's the other topic. And then the third one is just what to do if your general was captured or killed in PvP combat. Let's start off with the general power question. Now, when I hear this question, I think to myself that possibly the person asking the question doesn't necessarily understand what general power really is. So I'm going to do a quick breakdown of what general power means. General power, right here, for example, this general has 3.8 million power. What that means is after the game looks at all the gear, whatever dragon or spirit beast is equipped, the general's level, the skill books, the cultivation, specialty, after all that stuff is considered, the general receives a score of 3.843641. That really, outside of just giving you a number, means absolutely nothing. It doesn't mean that this general is stronger than another general that is 3.7 million. It doesn't mean that at all. In fact, this general could actually be stronger than another general that is 5 million power. So power itself is a very, very weak indicator of how strong a general is. If you're looking to just increase your general's power, you're doing it wrong. It's not what you should be focusing on. What actually matters are the stats of the general and the refinement, the buffs. That matters, and even the focus of the general. If I, for example, look at my Trajan here and I decide to make him a ground, archer, siege, and cavalry PvP general, well, then I'm doing myself a disservice. I can get him to 5 million power, but he'll be very weak because he's spreading himself very thin. So focus and buffs and all that make a much bigger difference than power. Power doesn't actually do anything at all. So if you are thinking, how can I increase the power of my general? Stop thinking that. Think more along the lines of what can I do to make my general stronger at what my general needs to do. Look at my Trajan here. My Trajan is probably my weakest PvP general. He's awful. And not because the general is awful. Don't get me wrong, this general is an incredibly proficient general. My gear for him is not. My gear is just the leftover scraps that I have after all my other stuff is said and done. So he's a work in progress. He doesn't have very good buffs. He has pretty terrible buffs, actually. But buffs are not as significant for a ground general as they are for some of the other ones, so I decided that he could be the leftover scrap guy right now. So he's got a lot of room for improvement, and he's only 3.8 million power, but if I do some refinement on some of this gear, he'll probably increase to like 4.5 or so. If I throw a dragon on instead of a spirit beast, I can get him up to 5 million power, no problem. But that's not really the point. The point is I want to be increasing the refining attributes, so I shouldn't see things like increasing construction speed in Subordinate City. Completely useless. Or gathering speed, do I really need that on my Trajan? No, I don't. And that's another note here. Like, look at my Ares helmet. If I have ore gathering speed and I have it at the max percentage, which is, I don't even know what it is for Ares. It's probably like 20 or 25%. I would never do it on here. But if I did, that would give me a really big boost to my power. So I could theoretically have all these pieces here that are just gathering speed for Ares and Ache gear, and I could have like a 5.5 million general. I could. That is really good at nothing except gathering, which is sad. So please take that power as with a grain of salt. It doesn't mean as much as you think it is. I will in the future talk about cultivation when I have time. It's a very big topic. Not cultivation, refinement. It's a huge topic, and I want to do it well. So if you are trying to improve your general, and that's what you mean by how do I improve my general's power, then wait for that video. Do not just go jump ahead. Refining stones are hard to come across, and they go pretty quickly. So if you don't know what you're doing, hold off until you get that information. All right, next question. The next one was about specialty. So I can stay here in the generals tab. That's another general question. I'm going to go over to Joseph Johnston. Joseph Johnston is a work in progress in terms of specialty for me. So I've been working on his specialty a bit. The specialty tab is down here next to enhance, cultivate skills. It's right here. Basically what happens is in PvP combat, you get these runestone chests. And when you open the runestone chests, you get runes. There are 4 different kinds of runes. Each rune is specific to a type of specialty. So you'll have one that's specific to the first, and then you'll have another one. You'll notice how the symbol changes. So that one is a different rune, this one is a different rune, and the 4th one is a different rune entirely. You can't do the 4th specialty until the first 3 have reached genius level. So you can't even touch that one yet. And it's something that's really... Specialty is really tough. It's probably the biggest bottleneck in the game because it is incredibly difficult for any player. Even the upper players have trouble getting enough runestone chests to do what they want to do. You need to do constant PvP just in the open world. Battle of Guatemala, Constantinople will also drop these for you, but they're not in a large enough quantity in the game to have a huge impact on your entire supply of generals. It's a very, very slow process, and if you can manage to get your specialty and a couple generals up, well, then you're doing better than I am. It's really hard to get the runestone chests. I will show you a couple ways that you can get them, but and just like the refining stone, if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have a general that is like an end game general, do not waste your runes on them. They are so hard to come across. Save them for one that actually will have an impact in the end. Okay, and one final thing I'll say about specialty is even though it's like, if you look at veteran, it's 1% increase to attack and defense for ranged troops for this general. And then it's 1% again. Expert is 2, Grandmaster is 2. One mistake that some players make is they think that the veteran starts you off at 1%, and then when you get to genius level, it's now 4% increase. It's actually additive, so that means that your veteran will be 1, and then when you unlock master, it's actually 1 plus 1, so you're now at 2. When you unlock expert, that's an additional 2, now you're at 4. Grandmaster is an additional 2, now you're at 6. Genius is an additional 4, now you're at 10. So that is actually a 10% increase to attack and defense. So it is additive, and it does have a big impact in the end. It's just an extra thing for your general, but it's very difficult to get those runestone chests. I'll say that again, it's very difficult. Okay, the main sources of those runestone chests are just in PvP combat. I get most of that from my Battle of Constantinople and Guatemala. There is another way, especially for players that don't participate in those battles so often. One other way that you can obtain runestone chests, which is a little time consuming more than anything, is to sacrifice your gold supply to buy generals and then dismiss them. And I'll kind of show you what I mean here. I have 2 billion gold. I'm not too worried about my gold supply. If you do a lot of Vikings, it's actually Vikings right now. If you do a lot of Vikings, then you'll have a huge gold supply. So if you go into recruiting and you recruit a general, for example, here I just recruited Peter the Great, who I have absolutely no intention to use. Poor guy. What I'm going to do is I'll just find him. He's level 1 and he's new, so he'll be right at the bottom. I'm going to go find him and I will dismiss him. Peter the Great cost me something like 30 million gold. They're usually around there for epic historics. And when I dismiss him using this icon at the right, which looks like I'm cleaving his helmet, when I dismiss him, I get 24 runestone chests and 15 million gold returned to me. So in the end, for 24 runestone chests, I'm paying 15 million gold. It is expensive. That is a lot of gold. And if you do this a lot, your gold supply, even if it's 2 billion like mine, it will diminish. You'll lose a lot of gold. So don't overdo it. But it is a good use of gold because runestone chests are just so hard to come across. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll get my 24 runestone chests. And let me just open them so you can kind of see what the chest looks like. Right here. It's already open. Why would I open something that is already open? That's just a weird design choice, Evony. All right. And there you go. So I got my 4 types of runestones. Okay, next. Oh, I missed Lucky Stone. Sorry about that. Let me go back. This will only take a second. Lucky Stones have a chance to drop in PvP combat as well. And all that those do are when you are using your runestones to upgrade your specialty, so it just goes a little sliver at a time until you get that experience, you could actually have a chance at doubling the experience rate if you decide to use some lucky stones. Now, I have not used a whole lot of lucky stones. I've used practically none. So the fact that I only have 173 after all this time kind of shows you how hard they are to obtain. You'll get like 2 here, 2 here in PvP combat, so you have to really be doing a lot. And then they go so quickly too. Like if I want double, almost certain double experience, then I need to use, what is that, 10? I have to use 10 stones just to get 1 double. Or I could reduce it. I could decide to use only 5 and have a 40% chance to get double. It might use my 5 and they're just wasted, or I might get lucky. Who knows? I guess that's why they call it a lucky stone. Or an unlucky stone. It's more unlucky than it is lucky. Okay, next and last topic. This is an easier one. Here we go. So, captured and dead generals. If you are attacked and you have a wall general, which you should, and you have generals that are assigned to buildings or subordinate cities, that sort of thing, that engaged in combat, they have a chance to be killed or to be captured by the enemy. If they are killed, they go directly to your shrine. And I don't have the icon here because I have no dead generals, but your shrine will start to glow and flash or whatever, and there'll be a revive button. When you have a dead general in there, you have the choice to either revive them, and it'll take a period of time that depends on the quality of the general. So it could take a couple days, or it could be a couple hours. There's also the option of using a revival stone. They look like these little dragon egg kind of things. Let's see if I can find one real quick. And those will instantly revive your general, so you get them back immediately. They're not easy to come across. Here they are right here. So you can use it to instantly revive. Only use it really when you need the general immediately. You might as well wait unless it's super pressing to get that general. What else can I tell you? Okay, so that's dead generals. If you have a captured general, what will happen is the enemy will capture the general and put them in their own prison. So, whoops, I'm clicking on the wrong thing. In their city, they can go to imprison and they'll see generals in here. They can have up to, I don't know, 15 depending on the level of the prison. And most people are pretty nice. If you get attacked and you want your general back and they've been captured, the best thing to do is realize that it's a war game. You're going to get attacked if your bubble goes down. So move on and just try to recover. And if you ask nicely, most people will just release the general. If you are not so nice and you're insulting the person and you take it hard that you got attacked, well, they can be pretty mean to you too. So the capture general will stay in there for a period of time, could be a couple days, and then at the end of it, if it gets to the end, the general will just be automatically released back to you. So you'll get your general back. However, if you've made the person angry, and I have done this in the past when somebody sends me a nasty mail, I'll wait until there's only an hour left or a couple minutes left, and then I'll execute that general. So not only did they have to wait 3 days to get that general back from the prison, but then at that last moment I execute it, so it now does go back to the player, but it's returned to them as a corpse. So now they have to go back to their shrine and either use a revival stone to get it back immediately, or they have to wait again another couple days to get that general back. So I would suggest use kindness and just realize, it's a war game. It's going to happen. Ask politely for your general back and you'll probably get it back. And I do encourage you to do the same too. You can make them ransom and pay some gems, but you're only going to get a very small amount of gold, so it's just not worth doing that ransom. You might as well just release it or wait it out. It's not worth otherwise. Okay, that's about it for these questions. Thank you for watching, and keep an eye on the channel updates thing. I have a couple things that I'll be releasing in the next week or so, and you might find it interesting. All right.